One of the greatest aspects of film is that music can often speak more powerfully than visuals. Right off the bat, Arrival speaks volumes with just a black screen and some music. This is the Positive Picture Show. I think there are enough critics out there, but not enough film lovers. Louise Banks, played masterfully by Amy Adams, is living a dark life. As a first-time viewer, we assume this is because she has lost a daughter, and that ravaged her life. But on repeat viewings and with the timeline in proper order, you realize it's because she has nothing. She lives alone. She interacts with no one. She has her job and her home, but both are sterile and dark. As the world is gathering together in prayer or huddling in their homes together, Banks is lying in bed. As everyone else is freaking out, she is calmly in her car. As people around the world embrace this abrupt change, she keeps going to class, utterly alone. There's no light in her life, no fire or passion. Her life is as gray and cool as the cinematography. But as the movie goes along, and she starts to embrace living, more and more light fills her life, until the ultimate brightness of her actually meeting the heptapods. The heptapods have this eldritch Lovecraftian terror to their design, but not to their interactions. They feel more like patient gods than invading destroyers. Their sound design is hypnotizing. When they were first introduced, I felt the air leave my lungs. Holy crap, what a design. It's guttural and rumbling, with a bass that would make trap music blush, but it isn't violent, it isn't scary. It's strangely round and warm, but still very alien. These low bass sounds hit their apex when the heptapods are speaking, but are still very present, underlaid or underplayed across most of the movie. This movie is heavy. But the movie also isn't devoid of humor. The kangaroo scene is hilarious in a smart, character-driven way. This whole movie is so sharply brilliant. What is your purpose on Earth? And the complexity of that seemingly simple question is examined not only linguistically by Louise, but also thematically by the whole movie. Arrival isn't afraid to take its time. It's confident in the message it's delivering, so it can have slow, gently paced scenes of learning words and taking steps forward towards understanding. Without this genteel structure, the power of the reveal won't hit with as much force. Deliberate. That is the best word I can think of to describe Denis Villeneuve's directorial style. Nothing ever, not a single second, seems haphazard or phoned in or mass-produced. He deliberately crafts every inch of the frame and every decibel of the soundscape to cultivate a film in Arrival that is just breathtaking to behold. He is, depending on the day, my favorite director. Each of his films are unique and transformative. I first saw his movie Prisoners, and since then I haven't been able to look away from any film by Villeneuve. He has mastered the ability to tell stories with this grand scope and intimate depth. Better than anyone else working today. His latest films, especially Arrival, Blade Runner, and Dune, have a level of grandeur that makes you wish your eyes were bigger, but also a level of vulnerability that makes you wish your heart was stronger. He has such an artful grasp on tension, on suspense, that even the simplest scene keeps you on the edge of your seat. But the director can only go so far without masterclass actors and a great team behind him. Enough can never be said about Amy Adams as an actress. Here's a woman who can turn in broad comedy, subtle drama, intense fire, and heartbreaking authenticity. Her performance at first seems very restrained. A novice movie watcher might even call it flat. But there's just enough purpose behind the eyes that you can really feel Louise's reality. As the movie goes on, you start to see why you need an actress of Adams' caliber to headline it. She brings a nuance to scenes that could otherwise be bogged down by linguistic lingo and high-concept sci-fi. But because her performance is so human, and she is so magnetic, you can't help but want to listen. The scene with Louise's first recognized flashback, quote-unquote, is an exceptionally brilliant piece of acting. When watched at first, you think you see regret and mourning, that of a mother remembering a sweet memory of her child. But on the rewatch, you see confusion, even fear. There's this paranoia that shows up when Louise hallucinates about an out-of-focus memory that she has never seen before. It's a genius little demonstration of Adams' beautiful power as an actress. Renner is a great everyman. From Hawkeye to Mission Impossible, his greatest strength is playing a relatable, relatively skilled man in an extraordinary situation. He brings a level of humor to his scenes that is desperately needed in a heavy, immense film like Arrival. Renner is an underrated actor across the board, and his presence is extremely welcome in this movie. Everybody, from Michael Stolberg, Forest Whitaker, to even the smallest little bit part, plays their role to subtle perfection. The creative team that worked alongside Villeneuve hit every mark as well. The writing by Eric Heisserer, based on the novel Story of Your Life by Ted Chiang, is just impeccable. There are so many moments of brilliance layered throughout the movie. The cinematography by Bradford Young is stunning as well. There are shots in this movie that live forever in my mind. This movie has a steely blue hue, only ever broken by the rare oranges and yellows, and the red of Adams' hair. When these colors break the blue, however, they stand out with such harsh contrast that you can't help but be mesmerized by it. The flashbacks / memories of the future are so vibrant, with these real greens and this warm sunshine, with less contrast and shadow. It makes you think through the language of cinema that you're remembering, along with Louise, a brighter past that's in contrast to this gloomy present. But really, it's a beautiful, albeit haunting, future that runs juxtaposed to this dark and dangerous present. I am just fascinated by the examination of language that is the bulk of this movie. The fact that the heptapod's words and their sounds have no correlation, and the words just represent meaning instead, is so strange. The non-linear orthography is just genius. It's a microcosm of the entire movie, knowing the beginning and the end simultaneously, being able to express it all at once. If there was ever a concept to help us understand how God works, I think it's that. Plus, the circular aesthetic is just visual dynamite. I love it. Makes me want to get a logogram tattoo. I love the idea of a language defining how you think, rewiring your reality, or at least your perception of it. Because our language is so linear and directional, we experience time linearly and directionally. Because the heptapods perceive time circular and expansively, that's how their reality comes through. As Louise starts to truly grasp their language, she begins to perceive first a jumble of time, and then, eventually, a circular clarity. As we ramp up into the climax, the movie just straight up tells us the thesis of Arrival. There is no time. Many become one. It begins to twist into this paradoxical, palindromic puzzle. There is no forward, there is no backward. The realm of time is this wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey ball of ooze that begins to unspool. But not for the glamour or for some action-packed climax, but for the unity of all mankind. These invaders didn't come to destroy or to frighten, but to weld together. Our interconnectivity, our unity and love are what matter most. I love that message of the movie.
I don't understand. Who is this child?
I don't understand who is this child is such a brilliant twist. Holy cow. The entire film is genius, and even without this reveal, it could still be a brilliant examination of language and communication. But with this twist, it becomes a subversive exploration into one, how we as an audience perceive film language, but also more importantly, two, the powerful moral dilemma. If you knew your daughter was going to die young and painfully and you couldn't stop it, would you still give birth to her? Are the shining moments of beauty worth the blackening moments of turmoil? Both questions are important to us as viewers, the second one more so obviously. But the first question makes you re-examine how you understand editing, how you understand intercutting moments and non-linear storytelling. We're so used to the Christopher Nolans of the world, chopping up their stories and telling them back to us thematically rather than chronologically. We sit back, assuming Villeneuve is doing the same, trying as audience members to understand the connection thematically between what Louise is doing in the present with the heptapods, with what we assume she has experienced in the past with her daughter. But it turns out we've been duped. We've been tricked by a genius craftsman, and we have been, in fact, experiencing time all at once. And the flashbacks are happening to Louise at the exact moment we are seeing them, not in the past or in the future. This is all well and good, and genius, but is nothing without a palpable emotional impact. Back to the second question. Could you give birth to a beautiful young girl knowing full well that she will die young? Could you face that heartbreaking inevitability? Could you live every day marching slowly towards a death you couldn't stop in order to experience a life you couldn't replace? Would you marry a man you loved, knowing full well he would leave you? Could you face a life cheerfully and purposefully, knowing that it will result in the ultimate tragedy of your life? It's a powerful, introspective question that broke my heart when I first saw the movie, and it changed Louise's whole life. And that's when the central theme reappears, playing as bookends to the film. Max Richter's On the Nature of Daylight plays with such symphonic elegance. The score by Johan Johansson, who has unfortunately passed away, hits every moment perfectly throughout the movie. But as Richter's theme rings in the end of the movie, I can't help but be overwhelmed. I love this song. It plays in my dreams, in my quiet moments, in my car radio as I go for existential night drives. And it perfectly captures the end and the beginning, the circular nexus of Louise's story. At first she was alone, dark, without passion or excitement, but in the end she says beautifully, despite knowing the journey and where it leads, I embrace it, and I welcome every moment of it. That is so powerful. Movies have an ability to be so powerful. They don't have to be just this amusement park ride that we jump on and we ride around. They can be beautiful pieces of art that can change the way we see our own lives. Could we all say the same as Louise? Could we survive the crushing knowledge, choosing to grab hold of every moment instead of running from the inevitable? Would we choose to love, to celebrate, to laugh, and to dance knowing it'll end someday? Can we enjoy the beauty of life despite the endless march of death? Can we choose to arrive wholeheartedly and openly every day of our lives, knowing someday it'll all be dust?